In the summer of 2025, 10 powerful countries assembled in the coastal Chinese city of Qingdao. They came together for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Defense Ministers meeting, held on June 26, 2025, a key event in the regional geopolitics. Hi, I'm Auroosa Riaz, and this is the story of how a single unsigned document exposed the cracks within one of the world's largest regional alliances, and how silence once again proved to be louder than words. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, better known as SCO, was established in 2001 by 6 nations: China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. It began as a regional security pact but grew into a major political and economic force. In 2017, India and Pakistan joined the organization. Later, Iran and Belarus became the full members, bringing the total to 10. Together, SCO countries represent over 3.3 billion people, nearly half of the global population, and cover a massive stretch of Eurasia. The bloc holds about 25% of the world's natural gas reserves, and by 2024, their intra-regional trade crossed $490 billion. But in 2025, something unusual happened. Even before the summit began, India was reportedly not invited to the opening sessions of the summit or chose to skip them in protest. The ambiguity raised diplomatic eyebrows across capitals. The summit was expected to follow tradition: meetings, negotiations, and finally a joint statement. The kind of diplomatic document that signals a collective agreement on matters like security, pact, and sovereignty. These statements carry weight. They showcase unity and present a common front, especially on sensitive regional issues. But this time, things didn't go according to the plan. When the final statement was shared, India's name was not on the list of countries that signed it. All the other members agreed, but India chose not to sign. The decision came directly from India's Defense Minister, Rajnath Singh, who was physically present at the summit. India's decision was based on 2 key objectives. First, the joint statement failed to mention the Pahalgam terror attack, which had recently taken place in Indian-occupied Kashmir, claiming the lives of more than 24 people. India saw this omission as a disregard for its own security concerns. Second, the document included language highlighting security concerns in Balochistan, a region within Pakistan. India interpreted this as aligning with Pakistan's narrative, something it has always resisted in multilateral forums. Historically, India has opposed any international reference to Balochistan, considering it a domestic matter. So for India, the imbalance in the statement was unacceptable. One tragedy ignored, another emphasized. Instead of compromising, India chose not to sign. Despite not signing, India did attend the summit. Rajnath Singh was present for the main sessions on 26th of June, engaged in bilateral discussions. The summit saw participation from key defense ministers, including Russia's Andrei Belousov, China's Dong Jun, and Iran's Aziz Nasirzadeh. Discussions spanned terrorism, regional security architecture, and military cooperation, and made public remarks on regional peace. But the absence of India's signature made headlines. In a group like the SCO, such decisions are more than symbolic. They often reflect deeper political undercurrents, and this one certainly did. Since joining the SCO in 2017, India's role has always been complex. India has participated in over a dozen SCO summits and working groups, from counter-narcotics operation to military exercises like Peace Mission. In 2023, India hosted the SCO summit virtually, where Prime Minister Modi emphasized respect for sovereignty, an indirect reference to Chinese and Pakistani projects that India objects to. On one hand, India viewed the organization as a platform to build ties with Central Asia and counterbalance both China and Pakistan diplomatically. On the other hand, persistent border tensions with China, including the Galwan Valley clashes and India's firm opposition to CPEC, have created ongoing friction. India's growing strategic alignment with the West has further complicated the matters. Through its participation in the Quad, increased cooperation with the US and Australia, and strategic dialogues with Europe and Japan. India has positioned itself as a key Indo-Pacific power, often at odds with China-Russia axis that dominates the SCO. India's absence from the joint statement drew immediate global attention. Some experts in the New Delhi framed it as a principled stand, a refusal to endorse selective narratives on terrorism. Others, however, saw it as a sign of India's diplomatic isolation within an alliance increasingly driven by the Chinese and Russian interests. Pakistan hailed the document as a success for regional balance, while Chinese media cautiously described the summit as constructive without commenting directly on the issue. In Indian media, the narrative was mixed. While some praised the government's refusal to compromise on national security, others raised concerns about India being marginalized within an organization where it once sought to lead. Online social media picked up the conversation. Hashtags like SCO without India trended briefly, reflecting the divided sentiment among the public. By the end of the summit, India remained part of the SCO, but chose not to be part of its final message. In his closing remarks, Rajnath Singh emphasized India's unwavering stance on terrorism. He stated clearly that all acts of terror must be condemned equally, not selectively. The events in Qingdao sparked a larger conversation about India's future in the SCO. As global alliances shift, India now finds itself trying to maintain balance between East and West. India is now part of overlapping alliances from BRICS and SCO with China and Russia to Quad and I2U2 with the US, Israel and UAE. Balancing these competing blocs requires a delicate diplomacy. Its growing ties with the US, Australia, Japan and Europe pull it in one direction, while long-standing partnerships with Russia and Iran and shared platforms like the SCO and BRICS pull it in another. Navigating both sides is becoming increasingly difficult. The 2025 SCO summit did not end in complete harmony. But what it did show was that regional diplomacy is changing. The old rules of alignment and silence no longer apply, and in a room full of signatures, the one that was missing spoke volumes. Because sometimes in international politics, what isn't signed speaks louder than what is.